There are two problems. One is the broad public opinion, but also the elites of the countries. Just to give an example, during the recent Brussels forum of the General Marshal Fund of the United States, I was sitting by the very seasoned West European diplomat, and he challenged me on several occasions, which I enjoy, and then he said, why do you need all these Patriot missiles? And I look at him and said, why Holland needs more than 10 batteries of Patriot missiles? Is Holland being threatened? And it left him speechless. So there is a sort of a double standard which we are talking, something which you have discussed, and you mentioned, Mr. von Ploetz, the problem of Finlandization is not a problem of decisions and treaties, it's a problem of certain political and strategic realities in which decisions are being taken. So I believe that part of the problem is not the broad public opinion support for NATO if there is no consensus among the elites of the countries and leadership in those countries. We have 7-8 minutes. No takers? A bit tired? Time for coffee? There is one. There is a question here. Sorry. And there? Yes, I see that. Okay, go ahead, Matthew, and say who you are.
Yeah, hi, Matthew Horn, AJ Congress. You know, I think part of the problem, as we're listening to the strategic concept and everything that's been going on, is the fact that the Secretary General, from the beginning of Afghanistan, has constantly said, the former SecGen and even now, the future of NATO is tied to what happens in Afghanistan. And I'm afraid that one of the lessons learned from Afghanistan is, let's never do this again. The only country right now that has high numbers in terms of public support is Denmark. Everywhere else around the country, whether it's the 28 NATO members and the other 16 that are participating, their numbers are so low, whether it's lack of political will, just mission fatigue all around. And I think that while the strategic concept's important, I'm afraid though one of the lessons learned is going to be that this was a really hard thing for NATO to do. And one of the things you have to do is build back public confidence and support for NATO, because you inextricably intertwined the future of NATO with Afghanistan. And I just think you need to decouple it and figure out how to get forward from that.
Yeah, I think that Madeleine Albright have coined a very good phrase to those who said that Afghanistan is a test. She replied, it is not a test, it is a task. And I think this replies to some of those worries. Let's move on. We have a question there.
Thank you very much. My name is Jan Piekło, Polish-Ukrainian Cooperation Foundation. I appreciated very much what Minister Rotfeld said about finding the innovative approach to the problems, and I think that there is a very good pretext to start working on this, because we are facing to see very soon the new conflict emerging. It's old new conflict. I'm talking about Nagorno-Karabakh, and I am personally very impressed with the role Turkey tries to play in the region, trying to launch the new relations with Armenia. And it looks that Turkey will be even able to mediate in Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. Turkey is, of course, NATO country. And my question to the panelists is if there is any concept of NATO strategy for this very important region. I'm talking about Black Sea and South Caucasus. Or there is any work done on this issue? Thank you.
To have a reply, but I believe that this is going to be the problem of the next session as well, about the alliances and the regionalization, etc. So if you care, now we go back to you, your last word in this panel, not necessarily in this conference. If there is something you would like to add, sensing the mood, the temperature here, and what you said among yourself, also to respond.
I'd just like to say two things. First, a response to Matt, and to echo something that Hans said, because I'm certainly not speaking on behalf of anybody but myself, but I actually think on the reassurance Russia re-engagement cluster of issues, we're moving to a solution. We're moving to a new consensus, which I hope the group captures and which I hope then will be translated into NATO policy. I view that as absolutely possible, but it ain't over till it's over. I think on the expedited home-away divide that you're talking about, I actually also see a compromise coming. Well, let's see if we get there. So I'm actually collectively, the people on this panel have been through God knows how many NATO debates and moments of anxiety and crisis and everything else. The question is, can we, pull together and reframe it and come up with new compromises? And maybe we'll do better than some people think we are. Let's see. There's a lot of work to be done, but there are some reasons for optimism. I just want to respond to what Mr. Babinski asked me for. Why did we not do what we said we would do? It's one of those things where you, as a young diplomat, look back and you watch these decisions, because I was a younger, prettier, and skinnier back then. We said we would do it. We got caught up in the Kosovo War, to be quite honest. It wasn't because we were afraid of Russia. And I remember sitting in the panel, remember this, in the Deputies Committee in the US government, where we said, should we now start doing operational planning and an exercise in Poland, 1998, 99, on the eve of the Kosovo crisis? Pentagon's too busy. We're about to go to war in Kosovo and things with Russia. Madeline's negotiating with Ivanov every second day, trying to get the Russians on board. People kept on finding reasons to kick the ball down the road and say, not now, not now, not now. And we had the discussion. Should we just do it now? The Russians will scream. It'll be another problem, but they'll get over it and just become part of what NATO does. Or should we wait? And we decided to wait. And I remember walking out of the meeting and saying, I wonder if 10 years from now we'll regret this, as we were debating the pros and cons. And we made a judgment, and maybe in retrospect we wish we had done it otherwise. But it wasn't because we were afraid of the Russians. It wasn't because we didn't think we could do it. So now we have to pull ourselves together and find the right way to do it. If we made a mistake, it's perfectly within our power to correct our own mistake and our own policies. But to do it in the right way so that it doesn't create yet another problem, but fixes a problem.
Thank you very much. I suggest that we gather back in 18 minutes time, that means 2:45. It will make us free. And join me in thanking Pamela Quanrod, United States government, Professor Rotfeld, Ron Asmus, and the 3 members of the expert group who came from France, Professor Bruno Racine, Ambassador Albis Ronis, and last but not least, Ambassador Hans-Friedrich from Ploetz. Thank you very much.